Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from worldwide. I'm Sterling. Welcome back to the channel. It's always nice to get together here once a week. This show is being recorded for Sunday, February 20th, 2022. And just a quick reminder, these shows are for entertainment purposes only. So all the information I share with you comes directly through my guides, angels, ETs, extended spiritual counsel, famous people from history, and so for entertainment purposes only. And just a quick mention that anyone that needs to book a session with me, very easy to do. Look for sterlingpsychicmedium.com. Look for the book a session tab, and it's very easy to do from there. Also, we're still running a contest on the channel. Every time we reach a new level of 1,000 subscribers, we're headed towards 22,000 subscribers. We give away a free half-hour session with myself. And the way you enter the contest is by entering comments on these shows, starting off with the word love. You need to be a subscriber. And then on the show, the actual show where we cross the next threshold, the next 22,000 subscribers, is when we'll pick the winner. So hopefully that all helps. People always ask how you submit questions for these shows. We put out a request on the community board on our YouTube channel, Sterling Psychic Medium. You said Monday or Tuesday, and that's where all the questions are garnered from for these shows. And I think we had nearly 400 questions for this show. And I think we're sharing, I got to go double check how many questions, something like 54 questions for the show. So anyway, thanks for all the participation, all the supporters of the channel. So let's get into today's show very quickly. And we're going to start off with the first question, which was, does Steve Jobs have anything he wants to share with us? And I did communicate with Steve Jobs maybe a year ago, a number of shows ago, and then he was around yesterday and this morning. But one of the things he wanted to share, which I thought was very interesting, he's a very enlightened being on the other side, and he realizes the significant cross connection between innovation, creativity, spirituality, destiny, and kind of one's divine life purpose, and how all the things that occur to you in your life path align you with your life path better. So one of the things he was telling me is he wants everybody to understand that we all have invention inside of us, we all have creativity, and it's kind of aligning to that divine guidance, our angels and guides, and then to move forward with kind of a trust in the universe. And he was also mentioning that he really respects, understands the connection between, let's say, Eastern and Western philosophy and medicine, and how everything kind of serves to better humankind. But he's a very evolved spirit, certainly from the first time I communicated with Steve, and he genuinely wants the best for everybody. A lot of love to his family and the people that helped him in life, and people that really try to help him in a very good way. But the real acknowledgement is the cross connect between innovation, creativity, spirituality, your divine life purpose, and destiny. So wonderful guy, and very happy to receive that message from Steve. And I should also mention that, kind of as a side note, that is one of the things we try to do with this channel, is to show really the similarity and the connection between spirituality and your guides and angels and destiny and creativity and extraterrestrials, because you see, they all communicate through the same channels, and they all align with your divine purpose and your life path blueprint. So hopefully that's helpful. It's always interesting to bring forth people that I think important into history. Okay, so let's get on with the next in a series of our countdown questions, number 53. Do your guides see the U.S. truckers who participated in the Canadian freedom protest being charged by Canada with terrorism? I don't see them being charged with terrorism, but I do see some very significant legal constraints and legal challenges and things going on with the protesters. So actually, we are starting to see that this week, but I do see Canadian government coming down very harshly on a lot of the protesters in a way that's going to kind of really circumvent a lot of the things they're doing. So in a good way, I see significant progress in kind of bringing that whole protest under control. 52 in our countdown. Will Senator Sheldon Whitehouse ever get any traction on his work on revealing dark money and the Supreme Court? Yes, and I think a lot of that, they're telling me a lot of that's going to happen even by summer of this year. So we get into summer and towards the third quarter of the year, we're going to see a lot of traction with the information he has. And it's going to coincide with a lot of, I'm seeing indictments for 45 in the family. 51. When my daughter, who is autistic, was 4, she drew pictures of some women she saw in her house. They were women dressed in colorful Victorian period ball gowns with their hair up. She even drew the hair color and some details on the dresses. She said they talked and laughed, not to her, but to each other. She said they never paid any mind to her. My daughter's now 15 and she still talks about them. Who were these women and why were they in that house? These women were definitely connected to the property you're at. So whether that is an existing structure or was kind of land, they're tied to the property. They're not stuck, but they did enjoy that property, that location. They come back to frequently enjoy it. And I was just being told, it's interesting. I know that you mentioned, and whoever asked this question, that they didn't pay any mind to your daughter, so to speak, but they enjoyed being around your daughter. So there's a connection to your daughter there. Number 50. Will something big and horrible happen on Tuesday, 2/22/22? Well, yeah, this may in fact be the date that we see Putin move into the Ukraine. I mean, other than that, I don't see, they're not telling me anything, any other major event, but that could in fact be the start of the start of an invasion. And so that's what they're telling me may be aligned with that particular date. 49. Given the number of retirements among Democratic Congress people, do you think that Dems will find enough viable candidates to win and overcome Republicans' incumbency advantage? Yes, this will be accomplished through very aggressive Democratic efforts to kind of get out the vote and get new candidates. And I do see that a lot of the, whatever these retirements are, people leaving, and they said retirements, that they'll be overcome by new Democratic candidates to fill in the void. I do. 48. Hi, Sterling. Why are some states holding funding which is supposed to help people with rent, utilities, other expenses? Local municipalities have severe financial constraints and financial problems. And so they're leveraging the money a little bit and guarding how much is handed out because they're dealing with some other larger budgetary problems. So it's unfortunate, but that's what appears to be stalling a lot of the distribution of those funds. 47. By the way, they're just reminding me that looks like by summer into the third quarter here again, kind of the same time frame, you'll see a lot of the funding start to be released for those, for the people in need of that money for rent and utilities and other things. Yeah. 47. Sterling, are you able to speak with dogs to find out why they're having behavioral issues? Yes, my experience is that animals, dogs, communicate through the same kinds of channels that angels and guides communicate through, and even ETs. And just to go a step further on this question, many times when I see dogs have behavioral issues, they fall into one of two major categories. The first is that they're mirroring the behavior of their owner. So whether it's stress or fatigue or fright or whatever it is. So they're mirroring the energy from their owner. And the second is they may be interacting with spirits, other animals that passed in your house or something of that nature. So you could certainly communicate with dogs and animals and through the same kinds of channels. 46. This past summer, we had to cut down a beautiful ash tree that it had died because of an infestation of ash borers. One evening, I was sitting outside, missing my beautiful tree, when I see the other trees in the backyard bent toward me. And I got the distinct impression that they too were missing their sister tree. Do trees have consciousness? Absolutely, 100%. Every living thing on the planet, in the universe, has a consciousness. Trees do. In fact, trees communicate through a very vast underground network even. So they miss each other. They have a soul and a presence, a spirit. And what you're experiencing there is kind of the unification of that energy around the tree that was cut down, and a lot of the other trees missing that tree, but they could also still connect with the spirit of that tree. So a lot going on there, but I think you were sensitive to it. 45. Years ago, while walking as an NYPD detective, I was drinking on the highway in the far right. I'm sorry. Years ago, while working as a New York Police Department detective, I was driving on the highway in the far right lane. It was a 3-lane highway. There was a truck in front of the driver to my left. The truck was overfilled with long wood. The highway was packed. All of a sudden, all of the wood flew off the back of the truck. This would have affected all 3 cars in my lane and behind us. It would have been a major accident had the wood hit our cars, but the wood evaporated. I was dumbstruck, and as I turned to look at the driver next to me, it was obvious he saw what I witnessed. It was a miracle, Sterling. Can you tell me how this happened? Was it angels? Yes, 100%. This is a great example of divine intervention when your birth angels get involved. And birth angels are with each of us for life. We have different combinations of birth angels, but they're there to make sure that you don't exit if it's on your exit point. But this is really a divine intervention because there are a lot of people that could potentially exit the planet. So this is an angelic event, and congratulations that you witnessed it. That's wonderful. 44. When will the January 6th committee begin public broadcast of their findings? Here again, there's something significant with summer of 2022. So a lot of things starting to come together summer of 2022. So that's when I think you'll start to see the first releases of some of the elements of the report. 43. Is there a correlation between the fallen angels and aliens? No, fallen angels are actually angels that have decided not to kind of follow the wisdom and the rules of the one force. So they're different than aliens or extraterrestrials that are certainly higher vibrational energy, but no similarity to fallen angels, no. 42. Will the $1.7 trillion allocated by the government for the Build Back Better plan be enough to effectively repair U.S. infrastructure? Will more money be allocated in the future? Well, the 1.7 trillion will be a really nice, effective start to building back infrastructure. But I do see another tranche of money, almost like a Build Back Better phase 2 or 2.0 in the second term of Biden. So there'll be more money coming. It looks like the second big tranche will happen in Biden's second term. 41. Photographers around the world have shared photos and or video they've shot where a meteor flies straight into a volcano. One video also shows a UFO quickly flying over a volcano right after the meteor hit. What is causing meteors to fall into all these volcanoes? And are ETs the cause or just watching? Well, extraterrestrials are helping to guide the path of these meteors, and they're actually following the trajectory. And there's something synonymous here with wherever these meteors are going are also synonymous with bases for extraterrestrials as well. So it's synonymous, the meteoric activity is synonymous with also extraterrestrial events and them watching and guiding and attending bases in these regions. Okay, question 40. Can your guides give any insight about what dark matter and dark energy are? Are they the same? No, dark matter was actually created my team is saying around the time of, let's say, the Big Bang or the start of the universe. And dark matter is analogous to almost seeing a planet like planet Earth, but you can't see it. So it affects the solar system in the same way gravitationally that large planets do, but you can't see it. So that's what they call dark matter. Dark energy refers to very low vibrational energy, sometimes, fallen angels, or energy that's very low vibrationally, that then gives you a feeling of depression or anxiety or whatnot. So dark matter, dark energy are two very distinctly different things and really not related whatsoever. Number 39, due to the severe drought we're having in Utah, the Great Salt Lake is drying up. This is horrible for the millions of birds who use it as a migratory stopover. The brine shrimp population is also in danger. Additionally, the dust blowing off the shorelines is bad for the air. Has this been left too long? Can we restore it? Will Governor Cox's mitigation plan help to restore it to its full state? No, the governmental plan will not restore it to its full state, but we're in the midst right now. These are the effects of global warming and climate effects, and this has come up before in other shows. But at least in terms of the West, this is something like the worst drought in over 1,000 years, or 1,200 years. And the drought that we're experiencing right now will be with us for a good 5 years before it starts to turn the corner. So the governmental efforts, I think it was Governor Cox, mitigation plan won't really put a dent in it. But as we get through the next 5 years here, we'll really start to see that turnaround. 38. Is the FBI covertly running surveillance, like phone taps, undercover infiltration on former President 45, now that he's an ordinary citizen and no longer in the White House? Yes, absolutely. And I get that they've actually, even the FBI is under surveilling something like over a dozen personal phones that either they have confiscated or are monitoring traffic. So these are like colleagues, close associate of 45. So the answer is yes. 37. There were 49 Starlink satellites launched and 40 failed. Was this really caused by solar storm, or did our ET friends have something to do with it? So this is Elon Musk's Starlink effort to put, low Earth orbiting satellites in place to give, internet access to people worldwide, developing countries and developing areas, rural areas. So no, this was actually a solar storm. This was not an effect from ETs. And I do see almost another 1,000 Starlink satellites being launched over the next period here. So I guess the 40 that were lost were due to a solar flare, and there's more coming from Starlink. 36. Is it possible that the GOP and Russia are manipulating President Biden's poll numbers? They are, yes. However, this will become meaningless over the next number of months as we get into kind of third quarter of this year. And I get that the poll numbers have been manipulated on both sides of the equation, Republican and Democrat, through offshore manipulation. So it's ongoing for a long time. But the real-time effect, if you will, that's happening with President Biden right now will not be significant. And a lot of things that Biden's doing right now will help, negate any problems in that area. 35. When learning of the Greek gods and goddesses in school, I wondered if maybe they were based on some angels or aliens, and this was the way the ancient people of Greece explained them. Or maybe there is no correlation whatsoever. Well, I think this referred to the ancient Greeks or Greek gods. What I get is it was a mix here of extraterrestrials, prophets, and gods. So these are higher elevated angelic spirits and extraterrestrials and prophets that all were around at that time. So the answer is it was a mixture. 34. While I was growing up, I regularly slept over at my grandmother's house from the time I was around 5 to about 16. I would often wake up and see at least 2 knights in full armor standing guard in my room. This only happened when I was at her house. I switched bedrooms and would sleep on the couch to escape them, but the knights were always with me at night. Why knights? Was it a connection I have to that time period or something else? What I'm being told is these were guards, like spiritual guardians for you, because for some reason they felt you needed protection around that time. So these were actually affiliated with you, and they showed up as knights, but these were actually guides, spiritual guides of yours. So congratulations. 33. Will the Trump org, the Trump org accounting firm be charged with any crimes? No, not in the long run, but I see them fully cooperating with governmental authorities. So that may be what I call a bit of a trade out. 32. In the 1980s, while milking the cows one evening, my father looked out the barn door and saw some kind of flying object, a very bright light, hovering above the power line on our property. He watched it for quite some time and could not make any sense of what it was. It could be some sort of spaceship. What was it? And what would it be doing spending time by the power line? Well, what I get on this is this was a UFO craft, and they were close to the power lines for some sort of energy refueling, if you will. So tapping into some of the energy from the power line, and you can do that without even making a direct connection to a power line to what they call EMF, or electromagnetic force, electromagnetic field. So that's what was going on. They were actually powering up a bit. 31. When I was young, I was a happy person with a lot of love to give. Lately, after a lifetime of betrayals and other hurts, I can't seem to get in touch with my heart's center. Any advice? What do your guides say about knowing if you are with the right person meant for you? Well, this is a two-part question. I think the way this person asked it. Um, you know, not being able to connect, let's say, with your heart center means that you need a little bit of balance. And, sometimes people will go through energetic balancing, if you will, of their chakras. Certainly meditation helps to relieve stress and anxiety and depression. So part of that getting connected means, for me, what they're telling me is that you need to achieve a little bit better balance, and a few things you can do for that. Now, wondering if you're with the right person has everything to do with clarity of thought and communication with your guides and angels, and kind of understanding what your life purpose is. And then that creates kind of a resonance with the people around you, including, let's say, your spouse or the person you're with. So a bit of a two-part question here and a two-part answer. So it takes a little bit of homework, but you can certainly get to the bottom of the correct answer. 30. Do you feel the Delphine murders will ever be solved? Yes, I do. I'm not really very familiar with them. I'm not sure if there were two children involved here, or younger girls, or a girl and a boy. I can't tell, but they're telling me within 2 years they'll be solved. Authorities already have somebody identified. And I looked through some sort of a social media trip up, information is discovered. So maybe somebody brags about what happened, or has knowledge. So there's a social media connection, but it looks like within 2 years is what they're telling me. 29. Will there ever be a cure for herpes? Yes, within 5 years, using naturally occurring remedies. So it doesn't look like it's pharmaceutical in nature, but naturally occurring remedies. 28. Primaries have begun in Texas. Television ads are being inundated with Republicans. Abbott, Ken Paxton, touting how they have been endorsed by 45. Will this help or hurt them in the long run? Well, I'm being told that these endorsements will backfire as we get into the middle to the third quarter of this year, as cases against 45 come out in New York State and federal courts. And so these indictments are going to backfire. So those endorsements will be meaningless and actually cause some problems. 27. Is it safe to buy a home that witnessed brutal murders? Well, yes. Energetically, if it's not on your life path, obviously, if you didn't have any affiliation with the murders, not a problem. It's always a good idea to cleanse or clear the energy in any new home or environment. A little sage can do that, and say a couple of quick protective prayers. But there's nothing particularly wrong with purchasing a home that saw a particularly, awful event, but a little bit of clearing of the energy is always helpful. 26. A few years ago, I saw what I felt was a higher angel. She was so bright, I could barely look at her. I always wondered why I saw her, and was there a message? Well, this is an angelic figure and one of your birth angels, I'm being told. And usually birth angels will come around if it's an important time period. So an important message for the family, or possibly an important event for a family member, could be a passing. But they come around to signal an important event in your life. but they always want to endorse and support the fact there's a tremendous amount of loving energy from the other side. So that's what that's all about. Okay, 25 in our countdown. I have a profound hearing loss and was wondering if you see any advancements in the near future for hearing aids, treatments, or surgery. I am aware of cochlear implants, but was hoping for development of something better. Yes, I mean, what I'm being told is within a decade here, within 10 years, they're going to have what I call nanotechnology electronics that will be implantable and you can inject them. And when I talk about nanotechnology, that refers to something that is no bigger than what they call a nanometer. So that's something like, I think there's 25 million nanometers in an inch. So it's a fractional width even of a human hair. But microelectronics, nanotechnology within a decade, they'll be implantable and help with that. 24. A flock of blackbirds fell out of the sky in Mexico this week with many dying. What was the cause? I'm being told this is what's called the magnetic wave pulse. And there's two reasons for this. It looks like weapons testing going on within the world here, and also hypersonic aircraft. So not just a magnetic wave pulse, but also a bit of a shock wave pulse. And I'm also being told that not in all instances do birds die. So some may fall unconscious and then wake up and fly off. But they're pointing to a magnetic wave pulse. Looks like weapons testing and hypersonic aircraft that move faster than Mach 5. 23. I have recently developed anxiety fear around driving and also being the passenger in the car. I have not had any recent experiences to cause this fear. Could this be caused by a past life experience? No, and typically it doesn't work that way. However, you do have increased sensitivity to motion and speed. You do. So you might just, this might be a quick visit to a doctor, your primary care physician, but increased sensitivity to motion. And I'm being told could even have something to do with inner ear balance of some kind. But certainly talk to your primary care physician. I'm not a doctor. I play one on TV, but not due to a past life connection. No. 22. In Parsons, Kansas, someone has killed several dogs. It's awful. Poor people are worried about their pets, and the police don't have any clues. Will the police catch the person or persons who are doing this, and will these crimes stop? Yes, just within a few months here, they're going to catch the individual or individuals, plural, that are responsible for this. And it does appear it's actually even connected to like a random traffic stop. So in the random traffic stop, whoever these individuals are will have some evidence in the car that will lead investigators to solve the crime, just within a few months here. 21. Are there such things as light workers from other dimensions? Well, yes, in some cases. I mean, ETs, extraterrestrials can traverse different dimensions, and ETs do come in and out of this dimension. So, in some respects, they do help where they can. So, in some respects, they're light workers. Angelic energy can cross dimensions, they come in. So, if that's what this person was asking, certainly extraterrestrials and angels can certainly move through dimensions, absolutely to help. 20. One of my dogs hesitates going through the kitchen to her food dish in the hallway and will whine and bark. What in the world is she seeing? So this is characteristic of seeing one of your relatives that's in the house. Remember, animals can see relatives and spirits that have passed on. And it's also analogous here. They're just telling me it could also be an animal that you had prior that has passed away that's also like guarding the food dish. So your dog is interacting with spiritual energy in the house. You can actually just ask, those individuals and that dog or that prior animal just to kind of move away from the kitchen area and allow your dog to eat in peace. So that's what's going on, a little bit of interaction there. 19, will the CRISPR technology help people with the rare disease of not feeling pain? Yes, but this is like more like 10 to 15 years out. This will come from gene editing or CRISPR technology, and this will be an injectable solution that will somehow modify neural connections in the brain. Yes. 18. Can you explain karma? If we have bad karma, is there a way to get rid of it? Do we pass it on to our children? No. So, karma is really the sum collection of the lessons you decide to come down here to learn. So karma weaves into your destiny. And I find it's a need for clarification that many people define karma as something you're carrying from a prior lifetime, almost paying back a debt. But what it is the sum total of what you decide to come down here to learn, experience, and weaves into your destiny. So there's no paying back karma from a prior lifetime and no passing it along. It weaves completely into your life path blueprint that you came down here to learn. 17. A while back, there was information in the news that accused the famous healer John of God in Brazil as being a bad, corrupt person. Millions of people seeking healings have traveled to his compound, the hills of Brazil, for decades. I was one of them. Is it true what the media revealed, and do entities really work through him to facilitate healings? So what I get on John of God is that he was a gifted healer, but he works in conjunction with a number of healing entities, angels, angelic realm, even some extraterrestrials, but not unlike many other people on the planet. And I'm also being told that many people, through their own belief, in effect, create a lot of their healing. So there's a combined effect here. I feel that what they're telling me, John of God had the ability, like many people on the planet, work through divine energies and even extraterrestrials. So I don't take that as being a fraud, but also people that took the pilgrimage, if you will, to go, their fervent belief also helped push their healing forward. So hopefully that helps. 16. Will they ever require that certain standards, like psychiatric standards, are met before you can run for office? Yes. And actually, even with the next presidential cycle, you're going to see new types of psychiatric tests coming to bear. Yes, absolutely. 15. Could you please check when conflict? Okay, we just check when the conflict between Ukraine and Russia will initiate. Well, I think this came up earlier here in the show, but it looks to me like we're just days away from this event, and you're going to see swift action in the world communities and NATO to help try to shut this down as quickly as possible. And my guys were telling me that this will not be a prolonged action. So whether this lasts days or weeks, it could be weeks, they'll actually end up being shut down. So it looks like, it's coming up very shortly here. 14. When will they find a cure for osteoporosis? And will they be able to reverse it in people who already have it? Yes, and I see this on the docket, if you will, for a lot of gene editing and CRISPR technology, no faster than a decade. So, you could tell that a lot of the building blocks for the things that are going to heal humanity are going to come out of gene editing and CRISPR technology that was delivered by extraterrestrials. So you can thank them for it. But it is coming up for osteoporosis as well within a decade, if not just a little bit longer, and it will reverse the conditions. 13. Can you please ask your guys about how the fashion industry will evolve in the near future? At the moment, so many garments are being made from man-made fibers and don't decompose. Mountains of fashion rubbish are building up in landfills and countries all over the world. So I don't see, there's no significant change in the fashion industry, but I do see new organic fabrics being developed over the next number of years. The reason I don't see a huge change in the fashion industry is it looks like a lot of this manufactured fabric that's coming, that's more organic, is going to have to come out of nations like China and some developing nations. So it's going to take a while for them to get in line with these kinds of programs. So I wish I could tell you there'd be a big change soon, but it's not for many years here, but it will come. And then, the large manufacturing centers for clothing will adopt it, and it's their adoption that'll move it all forward. 12. There are nearly a million ETs living among us. That's correct. That's a lot of secrecy to keep over the decades. So what means have ETs and various governments used to cover up their existence? Well, many extraterrestrial species are extremely good at shapeshifting and camouflage. So, even if you're near them many times, you're not going to know, you'll think it'll be another human being. The other big factor that keeps them in secrecy is really kind of sworn agreements with the world's governments not to reveal how they're helping right now. This will all come out in a few years. We're probably 3 years away right now, maybe more like 2025 is when many of the species, like the tall Nordics, will be made available, and you'll meet them. Remember, there's dozens of species already down here right now, but shapeshifting and secrets with the government. And I'm also being told, the Pleiadians will reveal themselves to the public by 2025 as well. That's all coming. Okay, question number 11. In your February 13th show, you mentioned that events like nuclear explosions could have an impact in other dimensions. What events in other dimensions have had impact in ours? Well, major solar system events like star implosions or star explosions create things like portals and black holes and even dark matter. So those events have created unique things that have affected our dimension. So that's probably the easiest examples to garner to kind of explain how those events have affected our universe. Okay, question number 10. How is the rental market looking in the future? It seems that all landlords are raising rents in every state now. Is there some hope for us low-income families? Yes, but relief really won't affect the economy per se until we get towards the end of this year, because the passing of the BBB, or the Build Back Better bill. Now that's going to provide more financing and investment in low-income housing and start to create jobs and also help reduce some of the effects of inflation. So all these effects together will open up more opportunity for low-income families and rental properties, that kind of thing. So look for that start to occur towards the end of this year in terms of the effects of the BBB bill. And as we get out into early 2023, it should look much easier. Number 9, for years in Russia, they have been finding woolly mammoths and other extinct animals frozen in the tundra. I've often seen and heard them talk about the animals had green grass in their mouths and stomachs when they died. It seems like they were flash frozen. Did something in the atmosphere of the earth change suddenly to cause all these animals to freeze so quickly? Yes, this is a major meteoric event, which then caused an ice age. Caused the meteoric event, then caused massive dust storms blocking out the sun's energy, caused an ice age, and that is really what took over, is where a lot of these extinct species met their fate. Unfortunately, it was kind of the loss of the sun's energy and the huge dust clouds that created an ice age. 8. In the future, will AI and or virtual reality make our spirit irrelevant? No, not at all. No relevance. AI, or artificial intelligence technology, is a way that really shows mankind relationships that they may not even see. So very complex things in life and the world. You can also think about AI technologies more like supporting robotic technology that really helps humankind. Virtual reality, VR technology, will allow people to have experiences in a single location. So maybe experiencing parts of the world or things that they couldn't experience maybe in their home. So 2 very distinct kinds of technology and their application, but they all serve to support humankind, and certainly not, I think they say, no, it won't make our human spirit irrelevant. No, not at all. 7, what is the purpose of elevating higher in the angelic realm? I think it's difficult enough being alive on earth. Working your way up in death as well sounds exhausting. Well, all of our core spirits have a desire to evolve. So even those that decide to go back to the other side and say, look, I'm going to stay here for eternity, At some point, a bit of boredom and a bit of a desire to evolve. So it's that desire to evolve and evolution that keeps people coming back and reincarnating. So a lot of people may stay in heaven for a while and also decide to take on jobs and help people cross over. But at some point, their desire to evolve will bring them back. 6, I've learned that our loved ones on the other side are around when we speak or even think of them. My husband passed last year, and our lives were all wrapped up in each other, home, work, and play. He comes to mind more times in a day than I can count. Am I monopolizing his time over there? No, not at all. So you have to understand that in heaven, spirits and all entities move faster than the speed of light. So in some sense, when individuals in heaven look at this side, this earth plane, looks like we're standing still. So the moments that you think you're monopolizing time are instants in time for the individuals on the other side. And furthermore, it's worth mentioning that no matter where spirits are in heaven or wherever they are, they exist in the universe. As our loved ones, or as you think of them, they instantaneously can come back and join us. So things move, thought moves things instantaneously on the other side, and you're not monopolizing their time whatsoever. And family members love being around other family members, from the other side, because it's all part of that extended spiritual family, and you never lose those connections. 5, will there ever be a successful way to treat epilepsy? My brother takes a cocktail medication which helps but doesn't eliminate his seizures. And his medication takes a toll on his cognitive abilities, it seems. Will there be a better treatment in the future? Yes, interestingly enough, the cure for epilepsy will also come from nanotechnology, so microcomputer technology. Remember, computers that are 1/25 millionth of an inch, so fractional the width of a human hair. And this will be injectable technology. They're just telling me right now, injectable technology. So yes, nanotechnology will help. Again, a good decade away, the advancements in health and science and healing technology are going to move exponentially faster over the next 10 years here. And that's why I think you see a lot of them culminating about a decade out, 10 to 15 years. For this particular nanotechnology was it epilepsy, right? Yes, within 10 years. 4, what is the truth about the Bermuda Triangle? Well, this is a region of the world that has tremendous electromagnetic force and activity based on the way the land masses are and things happening underneath the ground floor of the ocean. So tremendous magnetic fields are generated in this area. And that's why it affects ships and planes and aviation. And there's also a good chunk of methane gas activity, which as methane gas comes up from the ocean can be very explosive. So combination of tremendous magnetic fields and methane gas releases, cause, difficult circumstances to occur with ships and aviation and planes. 3, in our countdown, do ascended masters reincarnate? Yes, but not very often. So ascended masters come down to the earth plane at very critical times in the timeline of the earth to help. So they do, but they only reincarnate very far apart in long time periods. So we're talking hundreds of years, and in some cases, thousands of years. 2, do you see anything coming up in the next week? Well, I do see movement. We've talked about this before, kind of the Trump-Ukraine conflict. Do see movement and some interaction, some conflicts here coming up. I do see aggressive movement on depositions for 45 and 45's family. I do see more concerns coming up here regarding the new variant, the new COVID variant, BA2. And as I mentioned in prior shows, we'll have two kind of variants that we're going to have to deal with here through the remainder of the year. BA2 will be one of them. And I do see, interestingly enough, some sort of a funding coming here for schools, for school safety. So whether this is to protect against school shooters and also for health safety for teachers and students, testing or vaccines, but some sort of a funding coming through here to help schools. So that's a good thing. Yeah. And number one in our countdown, do you have anything your guides want to share? Yes. Do not compromise your beliefs in life. Stay committed to your beliefs and what you know is love and the truth. And as they say, the truth will set you free. So stay committed to your beliefs, stand in love, and stand in truth. So wonderful getting together with everybody again on this Sunday, February 20th, 2022. I want to wish everybody a lot of goodwill, a lot of love to you and your families. Again, if anybody needs to reach me for a session, happy to help. Just go to sterlingpsychicmedium.com, look for the book a session tab, and it's very easy to do from there. So all the best, everybody. Tremendous love in the coming week, and I'll see you again next week. Take care.